I felt like we were surfing in 2019 and had climbed yet another big wave, and then the wave crashed as they do. I found myself underwater, almost living with a broken heart. The unknown was scary. I was responsible for people's jobs, for life-saving water projects, for a decade of sweat and tears that upheld it all. I was terrified at what would happen to Drink Local, Drink Tap and our partner communities. The weight of the world water crisis and environmental degradation is not light as it is. That's why all of our muscles are so big. But thinking about all of the thousands of people who've believed in Drink Local, Drink Tap's mission, over 4,000, was also heavy. We were carrying your trust and investments too. Then something magical happened. At our lowest moment, with reserves dwindling and the unknown hovering over the world, you showed up. That, my friends, is what Drink Local, Drink Tap is all about and what you're doing here tonight. Over the last 2 years, we've hired 3 brand new staff members in brand new positions, purchased our own drill in Uganda, replaced 1 field vehicle, completed over 20 water and sanitation projects, all while monitoring over 100 of them. We published an action book for teenagers, launched our first ever STEM curriculum for schools, and almost reached cleaning up 500,000 pieces of trash from Edgewater Park. We've held a record number of beach cleanups and celebrated decade-long partnerships. It's been incredible. Our Wavemaker program in schools has had quite a journey also. You might think it's only environmental education or STEM or project-based learning or social action in local schools here in Cleveland. But our Wavemaker program is so much more. It's all of it. Young scholars right here in the Great Lakes region Zoom with us in Uganda, and they're inspired by what we're doing. They're learning to care about our local community's environmental health, the health of Lake Erie, and the significant role that it plays in all of our lives. With our new book for teens, Make Waves for Change, STEM curriculum, classroom engagements, volunteer opportunities, and district-level partnerships here in Northeast Ohio, we're serving thousands of young people every single year. We just sold 600 copies of our book to Westerville City Schools outside of Columbus for all of their 8th graders. The book has endless possibilities. We've made our curriculum barrier-free and easy to access thanks to ongoing support from foundations, corporations, and families. We've organically reached almost 19,000 youth in Greater Cleveland since 2010 and have new staffing to support the program. All this to say, we've come a long way. In Uganda, we opened our 100th project this year. Can't believe it. We're helping 40,000 people every single day access clean water. 16,000 people every day have safe sanitation or toilets because of us and you. And every month, we're monitoring all 108 projects and delivering hygiene supplies and project maintenance services to an AIDS orphanage and to displaced people within Uganda. Thanks. We've proved that with a $500,000 budget, we can make $1 out of 15 cents and create true impact in our work repairing the world and developing youth in ways they will carry for life. Can I tell you, this is not an easy task, any of it. Specifically from Project 1 to 100 in Uganda, and I never imagined that we'd build more than one. You know why we built that first project? Back in 2010, we were cleaning up the beach, and teachers and parents started asking me to come to classrooms and talk about water issues and solutions. I used those opportunities to talk about water as a critical resource. A local school teacher in Cleveland who is from Uganda asked me to come to her classroom. I went. I talked about local and global water issues and how to make a difference. I talked about how what we do here impacts water everywhere. I talked about how lucky we are to have 20% of the entire world's fresh water right in our backyard. And at that time, 1 billion people weren't as lucky to have clean water anywhere nearby. That number is now 2 billion. At that moment, after speaking to that class, our Wavemaker program was born. I noticed some letters while I was in that classroom posted on the bulletin board, and they looked different, so I asked about them. The teacher said that the kids in a rural village in Uganda were writing pen pal letters to kids here in Cleveland. When I asked what they said, she told me that the kids were sharing their daily reality. They said that they had no clothes, no books, no beds, and no water. At that moment, I knew I had to figure out how to help. I called some very big global agencies the next day asking how to help these 700 kids, and rightfully so, I got laughed at. A 700-person project was too small for the United Nations, and too small for UNICEF or AfriCare, and well, that disturbed me, and I got a little passionate. At drinks with my travel photojournalist friend one night, Laura Blake, I brought a book about the water crisis to the bar and my passion to want to help these children. Laura suggested that we just go to Africa and figure it out together. I said, "You can just go to Africa?" The answer is yes. We planned a trip to learn about the water crisis in East Africa, to meet the kids at St. Bonaventure School, and to see if there was a way to help. We didn't know much about how to help, so we went as listeners in learning mode, and we made a documentary. And our first trip, and eventually first water project in Uganda, was quite the adventure, and we learned a lot. So I'm going to share that story with you. My first day on the continent of Africa, I started learning about water and sanitation in the second largest slum in the world in Nairobi, Kenya. I immediately started to see all around me that there was no water for drinking or bathing, and when I had to use the toilet, there wasn't a single one to be found. 1 million people lived in the Kibera slum, and 1 million people were struggling daily to survive. As Laura and I walked around Kibera and visited people in their homes, we saw broken down water projects and infrastructure everywhere, and we started asking why. The story was simple. Very good-hearted people, assumed that they knew what communities needed, but hadn't bothered to ask. This led to massive charitable waste. This meant that a lot of money was being spent on projects that didn't have a chance to survive. Communities never truly owned water or sanitation projects. They weren't involved. They weren't treated as partners or owners. And sometimes incorrect technology was used or unqualified project implementers were at the helm. Projects failed, and no one ever bothered to come back and check on them. We actually learned that 80% of water, sanitation, and hygiene projects, or WASH projects, permanently fail in the first 2 years globally. I had to figure out how to do this work more sustainably. Most of the time, simple breakdowns went unfixed, and the communities were back at square one. I knew I had to figure out how to help, but didn't quite know how yet. From Kibera to Tanzania to Zanzibar and finally to Uganda, we continued to see mostly women and girls walking miles to haul water. We heard stories about rape and accidents along the way, and heard pleas from parents and teachers wanting water, safe toilets, and bathing areas for their children. Schools without basic wash facilities meant higher dropout rates by little girls, fueling a cycle of early motherhood and extreme poverty. When we reached Uganda, we met the people of Mulajji Village, where St. Bonaventure was. Day one, we woke up for the walk for water at 5 a.m. It was dark, cold, wet, and the children themselves had battled rats, hungry stomachs, and deadly mosquitoes all night. Now walking to the already crowded water source, we waited, then pumped our water from a borehole, like the one we have here tonight, and carried it back. By the time we got back, school had already started, and we didn't even have enough water to do everything that we needed to do. To cook, to clean, to bathe, drink, wash, clothes, everything, on and on. We had to choose. This was rural daily life in Uganda and throughout most of East Africa. I was completely heartbroken. I wondered how we could let such gaps exist. how we could be okay with this struggle. I had to find a way to help in a long-lasting way. But how? Well, we took some time, yes, time, it's our secret ingredient, and sat with community leaders, elders, parents, women, children, and local government to learn about their needs and priorities as a community. We then found pathways to plan, fund it, and to bring the very first Drink Local Drink Tap water project to life. I thought we'd just build one project, and now we have 108, and and the St. Bonaventure water source is now a piped water system serving the entire community and just celebrated 10 years since it first opened. I can't believe that we went from 1 to more than 100, and to think that all of this started from grassroots classroom water conversations and pen pal letters back in 2010. And guess what? We have a big goal, because I'm not done. We have a big goal that we're sharing with you tonight. We want to help 100,000 people in Uganda with water and sanitation by 2030. I politely asked my team and my board of directors to shoot for 2025 or 2028, and we landed on 2030. I know we can do it. A lot will have to happen to reach this ambitious goal. We need increased staff capacity, training and upskilling of our team, a larger office, storage for our materials and machines, a second and third field vehicle to allow us to be in more than one place at once. All exciting growing pains. In the past 2 years, we've been able to amplify our impact because of you, your trust, your investments, and your partnerships. I want to ask if you'll join us on this next big wave. Thank you.